The prodigy Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her computer screen, unable to believe what she was seeing. The test results for Maya Rodriguez's entrance exam were impossible. No human could score this high on every single section. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, literature, history, linguistics. Maya had achieved perfect scores across all disciplines. More than perfect, actually. She had solved problems that weren't supposed to have solutions. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes and looked again. The numbers hadn't changed. Maya Rodriguez, age 16, had just shattered every academic record at Princeton University. She had completed a 4-hour examination in 47 minutes. Her answers weren't just correct. They showed understanding that went beyond doctoral level in multiple fields. The phone rang, making Sarah jump. It was Professor Williams from the mathematics department. "Sarah, have you seen the Rodriguez file?" His voice was shaky with excitement and confusion. "I'm looking at it now, Robert. This has to be some kind of mistake." "That's what I thought too. But I've checked everything 3 times. Her solution to the Goldbach conjecture problem alone should earn her a Fields Medal. She proved it in 12 lines. 12 lines, Sarah. Mathematicians have been working on that for centuries." Sarah scrolled through Maya's answers. In the biology section, Maya had described cellular processes that hadn't been discovered yet. Her chemistry solutions suggested new molecular structures that could revolutionize energy storage. In physics, she had casually mentioned corrections to Einstein's equations that made perfect sense once you read them. "Robert, we need to meet this girl. Can you arrange it?" "Already done. She's coming in tomorrow morning." "Sarah, there's something else." I ran her answers through our AI verification system. The computer flagged her work as beyond current human capability. It thinks she's cheating. But there's no way to cheat on questions that don't have known answers. After hanging up, Sarah sat in her empty office as darkness fell outside. She had been teaching at Princeton for 20 years. She had seen brilliant students before. Child prodigies, geniuses, even a few who seemed to think differently than everyone else. But Maya Rodriguez was something entirely new. The next morning, Maya walked into Sarah's office with the casual confidence of someone much older. She was small for 16, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes were ordinary, jeans and a university sweatshirt, but her eyes held an intensity that made Sarah uncomfortable. "Professor Chun, thank you for meeting with me. I know my test results probably seem unusual." Sarah almost laughed. Unusual was finding a $20 bill on the sidewalk. This was like finding a briefcase full of diamonds. "Maya, I'll be direct with you. Your answers suggest knowledge that doesn't exist yet." "How is that possible?" Maya was quiet for a long moment, seeming to consider her words carefully. "I've always learned things quickly. Sometimes I see patterns that others miss. Sometimes I understand things in ways that are hard to explain." "Show me," Sarah said, pulling out a complex calculus problem that typically took graduate students hours to solve. Maya glanced at it and began writing. Her hand moved steadily across the paper, not pausing to think or recalculate. Within minutes, she had not only solved the problem but had identified 3 alternative solution methods and explained why each approach revealed different aspects of the underlying mathematics. "Maya, where did you learn this?" "I didn't learn it from anywhere specific. I just see how numbers relate to each other. It's like looking at a map of connections that are already there." Professor Williams arrived with Dr. Patel from the physics department. They had prepared a series of tests, ranging from undergraduate level to problems that had stumped researchers for years. Maya worked through them all with the same calm efficiency. She didn't just solve problems. She improved them. She found errors in published papers. She suggested experiments that could test theories in ways no one had considered. Dr. Patel was speechless when Maya casually mentioned a flaw in the standard model of particle physics and sketched out a correction that made the mathematics more elegant. "This isn't possible," he whispered to Sarah. "She's describing physics that we haven't discovered yet. Physics that might not even exist." As the morning progressed, word spread through the university. Professors from every department found excuses to stop by. Maya answered their questions with patience, but Sarah noticed she seemed tired. Not physically tired, but emotionally drained, as if she was constantly translating her thoughts into words others could understand. During lunch, Sarah asked Maya about her background. She had grown up in a small town in New Mexico. Her parents were teachers. She had always been good at school, but her abilities had accelerated dramatically in recent years. She had finished high school at 14 and spent 2 years taking online courses from various universities. Maya, what do you want to study here? Everything, Maya replied simply. I want to understand how everything connects. Mathematics and biology and art and music, they're all part of the same pattern. Most people study one piece at a time, but I can see the whole design. That afternoon, Sarah received a call that changed everything. Agent Johnson from the FBI wanted to meet about Maya Rodriguez. He wouldn't explain why over the phone, but his tone suggested this wasn't a friendly inquiry. Sarah felt a chill of fear. Maya wasn't just a brilliant student. She was something completely unprecedented. And apparently the government had noticed. As Maya left the office that evening, she turned back to Sarah with a sad smile. Professor Chun, I should probably tell you something. I know this attention isn't going away. And I know that some people are going to be scared of what I can do. But I want you to know that I just want to learn. I want to help make things better. Sarah watched Maya walk away across the campus. Students and faculty stared as she passed, whispers following in her wake. News of the mysterious prodigy was already spreading beyond Princeton. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Maya's eyes, ancient and wise in such a young face. Tomorrow would bring more questions, more tests, and apparently federal agents, but tonight, Sarah had to accept an impossible truth. Maya Rodriguez wasn't just breaking academic records. She was breaking the limits of human knowledge itself. And Sarah had no idea what that would mean for any of them. The investigation agent Marcus Johnson studied Maya Rodriguez's file for the third time that morning. 23 years with the FBI had taught him to recognize patterns, and this case was unlike anything he had ever encountered. The girl's academic achievements were just the beginning. What worried him were the implications. His partner, Agent Sarah Kim, knocked and entered his office. Marcus, the Princeton professors are here. Dr. Chun looks nervous. She should be. This isn't just about a smart kid anymore. The investigation had begun when Maya's test scores triggered automated alerts in several government databases. The Department of Education flagged her results as statistically impossible. The Department of Energy noticed her chemistry solutions could revolutionize nuclear research. The Pentagon Science Division wanted to know how she had independently derived classified military technologies. Dr. Chen and Professor Williams sat across from Johnson's desk, clearly uncomfortable in the sterile federal building. Johnson had chosen to meet them here instead of Princeton to emphasize the seriousness of the situation. Gentlemen, Dr. Chung, thank you for coming. I need to understand exactly what we're dealing with regarding Ms. Rodriguez. Dr. Chin spoke first. Agent Johnson, Maya is just a student. An exceptional student, but she's not breaking any laws. That remains to be seen. Tell me about her background investigation. Have you verified her identity? Her history? Her family? Professor Williams frowned. Of course, we checked her transcripts and credentials. Everything appears legitimate. Johnson opened another file. We've done our own investigation. Maya Rodriguez exists, but her paper trail is remarkably thin for someone her age. Her academic history before age 14 is sparse. Her family moved to their current town 6 years ago with no clear origin point. Agent Kim activated a presentation screen. We tracked down her previous schools. The records exist, but when we spoke to former teachers, many couldn't remember her clearly. Those who did described her as quiet and average until about 3 years ago. That's when her abilities seemed to emerge suddenly, Johnson continued. Dr. Chun, in your professional opinion, is it possible for someone to develop such advanced capabilities so quickly? Sarah Chun shifted uncomfortably. Human intelligence can manifest in unexpected ways. Some people are late bloomers. Mozart was composing at age 5, but other prodigies don't show their abilities until their teens. Not like this. We've consulted with experts at the National Science Foundation, MIT, and the Institute for Advanced Study. Maya's demonstrated knowledge exceeds the current boundaries of human discovery. She's not just smart, she knows things that haven't been learned yet. Johnson displayed Maya's physics solutions on the screen. These equations describe particle interactions that our best physicists haven't discovered. She's essentially predicting the results of experiments that haven't been conducted. The room fell silent. Finally, Professor Williams spoke. What are you suggesting, Agent Johnson? That Maya isn't human? I'm not suggesting anything yet. I'm investigating all possibilities. We've seen her mathematical proofs. They're not just correct, they use methodologies that don't exist in any textbook. Either she's developing new branches of mathematics independently, or she has access to information from sources we don't understand. Agent Kim continued the briefing. We've established surveillance on Maya and her family. Standard procedure for this type of investigation. What we've observed is unusual. She showed video footage from hidden cameras around Maya's dormitory. Maya keeps regular hours. She attends classes, eats in the cafeteria, studies in the library. But watch this footage from last Tuesday night. The video showed Maya sitting alone in her room, not reading or writing, just staring at the wall with intense concentration. For 3 hours, she barely moved. We had audio surveillance as well. She was completely silent during this period. No books, no computer, no apparent source of information. But the next morning, she submitted a paper solving a famous mathematical conjecture that has puzzled experts for decades. Dr. Chin looked troubled. Maybe she was thinking? Some people process information differently. For 3 hours without moving? Dr. Chen, we recorded her brain activity using advanced remote sensing. During those periods of apparent meditation, her neural patterns are unlike anything we've documented in human subjects. Johnson pulled up another file. And there's more. We've been monitoring electromagnetic fields around Maya. Electronic devices behave strangely in her presence. Computers process faster. Communication equipment sometimes picks up signals that shouldn't exist. What kind of signals? Professor Williams asked. We're still analyzing them, but they appear to be complex mathematical data transmissions. As if Maya is somehow receiving information from an external source. Agent Kim added, we've also detected unusual energy signatures. Nothing dangerous, but patterns that don't match known physics. It's almost like reality bends slightly around her. The professors exchanged worried glances. Dr. Chen spoke carefully. Agent Johnson, even if what you're suggesting were true, Maya hasn't done anything wrong. She's just trying to get an education. That's what concerns us most. If Maya has access to advanced knowledge or technology, we need to understand its source. Is she in contact with foreign agents? Is this some kind of espionage operation? Or are we dealing with something beyond our current understanding? Johnson stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. 3 days ago, Maya solved a problem related to quantum encryption that could make all current security systems obsolete. Yesterday, she casually mentioned a method for achieving room temperature fusion that our top scientists believe could work. He turned back to face the professors. Do you understand the implications? If Maya's knowledge falls into the wrong hands, it could destabilize global power structures. If she's working for a hostile nation, she could give them technological advantages we couldn't counter for decades. And if she's not working for anyone? Dr. Chen asked quietly. That might be worse, because then we have to ask where her knowledge comes from, and whether there are others like her. Agent Kim closed her laptop. We're not treating Maya as a threat yet, but we need cooperation from Princeton University. We need access to her work, her communications, her activities, and we need the professors who interact with her to report anything unusual. Professor Williams looked uncomfortable. Are you asking us to spy on our student? We're asking you to help us understand what we're dealing with. Maya Rodriguez represents either the greatest scientific breakthrough in human history or the greatest security threat we've ever faced. Until we know which, we have to proceed carefully. Johnson handed each professor a card with contact information. If Maya demonstrates any new capabilities, if she mentions anything about her past, if anything seems strange, call immediately. Don't try to investigate on your own. As the professors prepared to leave, Dr. Chun turned back. Agent Johnson, what happens to Maya if you decide she's a threat? Johnson's expression was grim. Let's hope we don't have to find out. But Dr. Chun, if Maya Rodriguez isn't human, or if she's working for someone who wants to harm America, we'll do whatever is necessary to protect national security. After the professors left, Agent Kim sat down across from Johnson. Marcus, what do you really think we're dealing with? Johnson stared at Maya's file photo. The girl's eyes seemed to look right through the camera, as if she knew secrets the rest of the world couldn't imagine. I think we're about to discover that everything we thought we knew about human capability was wrong, and I'm not sure we're prepared for what comes next. The revelation Maya knew they were watching her. She had known since the second day of classes when Agent Johnson's surveillance team took positions around campus. Their electronic monitoring equipment created subtle distortions in the electromagnetic field that she could sense like ripples on a pond. She didn't mind the attention. She had been expecting it for years. What surprised her was how long it had taken them to notice. She had been careful to reveal her abilities gradually, solving only problems that were challenging but not impossible, demonstrating knowledge that was advanced but not completely beyond human understanding. But apparently, even her careful approach had been too much. Dr. Chun knocked on Maya's dormitory door that Friday evening, looking tired and stressed. Maya invited her in, already knowing what the conversation would be about. Maya, we need to talk. The FBI has been asking questions about you. They think you might be, Dr. Chun struggled to find the right words, not human? Maya suggested gently. Dr. Chun's eyes widened. How did you know that's what they think? Maya sat on her desk chair and gestured for Dr. Chun to take the bed. Because it's true. The silence stretched between them. Dr. Chun stared at Maya, searching her face for any sign that this was a joke. Maya waited patiently, understanding that this revelation would take time to process. What do you mean it's true? Dr. Chun finally whispered. I mean, I'm not from Earth originally. Though I am human, just not Earth human. My people come from a planet about 47 light years from here. We've been watching your species develop for several thousand years. Dr. Chun stood up abruptly, then sat back down. This is impossible. You're 16 years old, you have parents. You have a birth certificate. The parents who raised me are human. Good people who found me when I was very young and took care of me. The birth certificate is genuine. I was born on Earth, but my biological parents are from a place you call Kepler 438b. Maya walked to her window and looked out at the campus. Students were walking between buildings, heading to evening classes or social events. Normal human activities that felt both familiar and foreign to her. My real parents were part of an observation mission. They weren't supposed to interfere with Earth's development, but there was an emergency. Their ship was damaged and they had to land for repairs. While they were here, I was born. When the ship was ready to leave, they made a choice that probably saved both our species. What choice? Dr. Chun asked, her voice barely audible. They left me here. They knew that Earth was approaching a critical point in its development. Your species was about to face challenges that would either destroy you or transform you into something greater. Climate change, resource depletion, the development of artificial intelligence, the possibility of nuclear war. Humanity was entering what my people call the Great Filter. Maya turned back to Dr. Chun. Most species don't survive the Great Filter. They develop technology faster than wisdom, power faster than responsibility. They destroy themselves or their worlds before they can mature enough to join the galactic community. But some species survive? Yes, those that do usually need help at the crucial moment, a nudge in the right direction, new knowledge that helps them solve their problems before it's too late. That's why my parents left me here, to be that nudge when the time came. Dr. Chun was processing this information like a scientist, asking the logical questions. Why now? Why reveal yourself at this particular moment? Because the moment has arrived. Your climate is destabilizing. Your political systems are failing. You're developing artificial intelligence that could either liberate humanity or replace it. In the next 20 years, your species will either transcend its limitations or face extinction. Maya sat back down, her expression serious. The knowledge. I've been demonstrating the mathematics, the physics, the solutions to problems your scientists haven't solved yet. These aren't random discoveries. They're specific technologies and concepts that humanity needs to survive the next few decades. The room temperature fusion, the quantum encryption, the corrections to Einstein's equations, these could solve energy problems, secure communications, enable space travel. If your species can integrate this knowledge wisely, you'll not only survive the Great Filter, you'll emerge as a mature civilization capable of joining the galactic community. Dr. Chun stood up again and began pacing. Maya, this is extraordinary. Incredible. But why tell me? Why not world leaders or scientists at the highest levels? Because change doesn't happen from the top down. It happens when knowledge spreads naturally through the scientific community. When discoveries are made, in universities, tested in laboratories, published in journals, and gradually accepted by the academic world. That's how your species learns best, through careful verification and peer review. But the FBI suspects something. Agent Johnson thinks you might be a threat, Maya smiled sadly. I know. That's the irony of my situation. The variabilities that make me useful to humanity also make me appear dangerous to those whose job is protecting humanity. Agent Johnson is a good man doing his job, but he doesn't understand that I'm not here to conquer or control. I'm here to teach. What happens now? Will you keep revealing knowledge? Will your people come to Earth? The plan was for me to spend several years gradually introducing concepts that would help humanity solve its problems. But the FBI investigation complicates things. If they decide I'm a threat, they might try to imprison me or worse. That would prevent me from completing my mission. Dr. Chun looked worried. Maya, is there anything I can do to help? Actually, yes. I need allies among the human scientific community. People who understand what I'm trying to accomplish and can help spread the knowledge I'm sharing. You, Professor Williams, Dr. Patel, if you support my work and vouch for my intentions, it might convince Agent Johnson that I'm not a threat. What about your real parents, your people? Will they ever come back? Maya was quiet for a long moment. They're monitoring the situation. If humanity successfully integrates the knowledge I'm providing and begins to solve its existential problems, they'll consider making open contact in perhaps 50 to 100 years. But if humanity rejects the knowledge, or if I'm prevented from completing my mission, they'll conclude that your species isn't ready for galactic citizenship, and then what happens? Then they'll leave Earth to face the Great Filter alone. Most species that face it without guidance don't survive. The weight of this responsibility settled over Dr. Chun like a heavy blanket. Maya could see her struggling with the magnitude of what she had learned. Professor Chun, I know this is overwhelming, but I want you to understand something important. I'm not just here to save humanity from external threats. I'm here because my people believe that humans have something special. Your creativity, your resilience, your capacity for both individual achievement and collective cooperation, these qualities are rare in the galaxy. You're not just worth saving, you're worth celebrating. The knowledge I'm sharing isn't charity. It's an investment in what humanity could become. My people believe that if you can survive the next few decades, you'll become one of the most remarkable civilizations in the galaxy. Dr. Chun wiped away tears she didn't realize had formed. Maya, what you're telling me changes everything. Every assumption I've made about life, about our place in the universe, about our future, I know, but it doesn't change who you are or what you're capable of. It just reveals possibilities you didn't know existed. Maya stood and walked to her desk, picking up a folder filled with equations and diagrams. These are solutions to three major problems facing humanity: clean energy production, atmospheric carbon removal, and quantum computing architecture. I was planning to reveal them gradually over the next year. But given the FBI investigation, I think we need to accelerate the timeline. She handed the folder to Dr. Chun. Can you share these with your colleagues? Not as alien technology, but as breakthrough research from a promising student? Let the scientific community examine them, test them, improve them. Dr. Chun took the folder with trembling hands. Maya, if this knowledge is as advanced as you say, won't people realize it's beyond current human capability? That's the beauty of human ingenuity. Once someone shows you that something is possible, human scientists are remarkably good at figuring out how to make it work. You'll find ways to understand and improve on what I'm sharing. You'll make it truly human knowledge, not just alien gifts. As Dr. Chun prepared to leave, she turned back one more time. Maya, aren't you lonely, being the only one of your kind on Earth? Maya smiled, and for the first time, Dr. Chun saw something vulnerable and young in her expression. Sometimes, but I'm not really alone. I have good friends here, people who care about me. And I know that everything I do here matters. That's enough. After Dr. Chun left, Maya returned to her window. In the distance, she could see Agent Johnson's surveillance van parked discreetly near the library. Soon, she would have to decide whether to reveal her true nature to the FBI as well. But tonight, she allowed herself a moment of hope. Dr. Chun had accepted the truth remarkably well. If other humans could respond with similar openness, perhaps her mission had a real chance of success. The decision agent Johnson received Dr. Chun's call at 6 in the morning. Her voice was shaky but determined. Agent Johnson, I need to meet with you immediately. I have information about Maya Rodriguez that changes everything. 2 hours later, Johnson and Agent Kim sat across from Dr. Chun in a secure conference room. The folder she had brought lay unopened on the table between them. Agent Johnson, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I need you to listen to everything before you respond. Johnson nodded. Go ahead, Dr. Chun. Maya Rodriguez is not a threat to national security. She's here to help humanity survive the next few decades. She's not from Earth, but she is human. Her people have been watching our development, and they sent her to provide knowledge that could save our species. The silence in the room was deafening. Agent Kim looked at Johnson, who kept his expression carefully neutral. Dr. Chun, that's quite a claim. Do you have evidence to support it? Dr. Chun opened the folder and spread out Maya's equations and diagrams. This folder contains solutions to three major scientific challenges: clean fusion energy, atmospheric carbon capture, and quantum computing architectures. Maya gave these to me last night. She told me her true origin and her mission on Earth. Johnson examined the papers. Even with his limited scientific background, he could see that these were far more advanced than anything in Maya's previous work. The mathematics was elegant but completely unfamiliar. These could be fabricated or copied from classified research. Agent Johnson, I've spent 20 years in academic science. I know the difference between incremental advancement and revolutionary breakthrough. This knowledge is decades ahead of our current capabilities. No human scientist could have developed these concepts. Agent Kim leaned forward. Dr. Chun, assuming for a moment that what Maya told you is true, why reveal herself now? Why not continue hiding? Because your investigation forced her hand. She knows you suspect she's not human. She also knows that humanity is running out of time to solve its existential problems. Climate change, resource depletion, the risks of artificial intelligence. Maya says her people call it the Great Filter. Most species don't survive it. Johnson stood and walked to the whiteboard, thinking, Dr. Chun, I've seen a lot of impossible things in my career, but this requires me to accept that aliens exist, that they've been watching us, and that they sent a teenage girl to save humanity. You understand why I might be skeptical? I understand completely. But consider the alternative explanations. Maya demonstrates knowledge that doesn't exist anywhere on Earth. She solves problems that our best scientists can't solve. Her abilities appeared suddenly 3 years ago with no apparent source. What explanation makes more sense? Agent Kim was studying the equations. Dr. Chun, if these solutions work, they would transform human civilization. Clean, unlimited energy, reversal of climate change, quantum computers that could solve any problem. Why would aliens give us such powerful technology? Because according to Maya, her people believe humanity has something special. Our creativity, our resilience, our capacity for both individual achievement and collective cooperation. They think we're worth saving. Johnson returned to his seat. Dr. Chun, let's assume everything Maya told you is true. What does she want from us now? She wants to complete her mission, to share knowledge that could help humanity survive and eventually join what she calls the galactic community. But she needs the FBI to understand that she's not a threat. If you imprison her or prevent her from working, humanity loses its best chance for survival. The room fell quiet as Johnson and Kim exchanged looks. Finally, Johnson spoke. Dr. Chun, I need to speak with Maya directly. Can you arrange a meeting? She's expecting your call. Agent Johnson, she's not afraid of you or trying to hide anymore. She wants to help, but she needs you to trust her. That afternoon, Maya sat in the same conference room where Dr. Chun had met with the FBI agents. She had dressed simply in jeans and a sweater, looking like any college student except for the intensity in her eyes. Johnson began formally. Ms. Rodriguez, Dr. Chun has made some extraordinary claims about your origins and your purpose here. I'd like to hear your explanation directly. Maya spoke calmly and clearly. Agent Johnson, I am what you would call an alien, though I prefer to think of myself as a human from a different world. My biological parents are from a planet your astronomers have catalogued as Kepler 438b. I was born on Earth 16. Years ago, when their observation mission experienced technical difficulties. Can you prove this? Yes, but not in ways your current technology can verify. My cellular structure contains elements that don't exist naturally on Earth. My brain processes information in patterns that differ from typical human neural activity. You've already detected some of these differences through your surveillance? Agent Kim activated a recording device. Maya, why are you here? What's your ultimate goal? My goal is to provide humanity with knowledge that could help your species survive the next 50 years. You're approaching what my people call the Great Filter, a period when technological development outpaces wisdom and responsibility. Most species destroy themselves during this phase. What kind of knowledge? Mayo gestured to the folder Dr. Chun had shown them earlier. Solutions to your most pressing problems. Clean energy that could replace fossil fuels within 20 years. Atmospheric processing that could reverse climate change. Computing architectures that could help manage complex global systems. Medical advances that could eliminate most diseases. Johnson leaned forward. If this knowledge is so powerful, why not give it directly to world leaders? Why work through universities? Because lasting change happens through education and scientific understanding, not government mandate. When knowledge spreads naturally through your academic institutions, it becomes part of human culture. When it's imposed from above, it often fails or creates unintended consequences. Agent Kim asked, Maya, what happens if we decide you're too dangerous to allow your mission to continue? Maya's expression grew sad. Then I'll be recalled by my people, and humanity will face the Great Filter alone. Most species that do so don't survive. Your civilization would likely collapse within the next 30 to 50 years due to climate change, resource wars, or uncontrolled artificial intelligence. And if we let you continue, then humanity has a genuine chance to not only survive but to become one of the most remarkable civilizations in the galaxy. My people have been observing intelligent species for thousands of years. Humans have qualities that are genuinely unique, your creativity, your ability to overcome seemingly impossible challenges, your capacity for both individual brilliance and collective cooperation. Johnson stood and paced again. Maya, this is the most significant decision I've ever had to make. If you're telling the truth, preventing your mission could doom our entire species. But if you're lying, or if your intentions aren't what they seem, I could be enabling an existential threat to humanity. Mayao met his gaze steadily. Agent Johnson, I understand your position completely. But let me ask you this. In all your surveillance of me, have I ever done anything harmful? Have I ever shown aggression or attempted to manipulate anyone? Have I ever asked for anything other than the opportunity to learn and share knowledge? Agent Kim checked her notes. Actually, no. Your behavior has been consistently peaceful and helpful. You've shared your discoveries freely. You've been patient with questioning. You've shown genuine concern for human welfare. Because that's who I am. My people don't conquer or control other species. We guide and teach those who are ready to learn. The decision about whether to accept our help always belongs to the species itself. Johnson returned to his seat, looking tired. Maya, if I allow your mission to continue, what safeguards can you offer? How do we know you won't exceed your mandate or that your people won't change their intentions? My people have been observing Earth for 3,000 years without interfering. The only reason I'm here is because your species reached a critical point where guidance became necessary for survival. As for safeguards, you can monitor my activities indefinitely. Everything I do is open to your inspection. Maya paused, then continued with surprising vulnerability. Agent Johnson, I'm 16 years old. Earth is the only home I've ever known. The humans who raised me are my family. My friends are here. I don't want to see this world fail any more than you do. The room was quiet for several minutes. Finally, Johnson spoke. Maya, I'm going to make a decision that could affect the entire future of humanity. Against every instinct I've developed in 23 years of law enforcement, I'm going to trust you. Maya's relief was visible. Thank you, Agent Johnson. But there will be conditions. You'll report your activities to us regularly. Any new knowledge you plan to share will be reviewed by a joint committee of scientists and security experts. And if anything you do threatens American interests or human security, this arrangement ends immediately. I accept those conditions completely. Agent Kim looked up from her notes. Maya, one more question. When will your people make open contact with humanity? Maya smiled for the first time during the meeting. That depends on how well humanity handles the knowledge I'm sharing and how successfully you navigate the next few decades. If things go well, perhaps 50 to 100 years from now, you'll be ready for formal diplomatic contact. And then humanity will take its place as a full member of the galactic community. You'll have access to technologies and knowledge that will seem like magic. You'll be able to explore the stars and meet dozens of other intelligent species. You'll help guide younger civilizations through their own development. Johnson shook his head in amazement. Dr. Chen was right. This changes everything. Maya stood to leave. Agent Johnson, Agent Kim, thank you for listening and for trusting me. I won't disappoint you. But remember, the real heroes in this story aren't me or my people. They're the human scientists and engineers and leaders who will take the knowledge. I'm sharing and transform it into solutions that save your world. As Maya left the conference room, Agent Kim turned to Johnson. Marcus, do you really think we're making the right decision? Johnson watched Maya through the window as she walked across the parking lot, looking like any college student heading back to campus. Sarah, I think we're making the only decision that gives humanity a chance. And maybe that's all any of us can do, make the best decision we can with the information we have and hope it's enough. The breakthrough 6 months after Maya's revelation to the FBI? The world of science was experiencing what historians would later call the Great Acceleration. The knowledge Maya had shared was spreading through universities and research institutions like wildfire. Though most scientists still believed they were witnessing an unprecedented burst of human innovation. Dr. Chun stood before a packed auditorium at the International Energy Conference in Geneva, about to present findings that would reshape civilization. The fusion reactor design Maya had provided had been tested, refined, and scaled up by teams of engineers across 6 countries. The results exceeded every optimistic projection. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that the Princeton-Geneva Fusion Initiative has achieved sustained net energy gain using a revolutionary new magnetic containment design. This reactor produces clean energy at costs below current fossil fuel generation, with no radioactive waste and minimal environmental impact. The audience erupted. Representatives from every major nation leaned forward, recognizing the implications. Energy independence, clean power, an end to carbon emissions from electricity generation. Dr. Chun continued her presentation, carefully attributing the breakthrough to collaborative, international research while omitting any mention of its true source. Meanwhile, at Stanford University, Dr. Patel was preparing to publish findings that would revolutionize computing. Maya's quantum architecture designs had led to the development of computers that could solve problems previously thought impossible. Climate modeling, drug discovery, economic forecasting, artificial intelligence safety protocols, entire fields of research were advancing at unprecedented speeds, but the most significant breakthrough was happening in laboratories around the world where teams of atmospheric scientists were testing Maya's carbon capture technology. The system didn't just remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, it converted it directly into useful materials while requiring minimal energy input. At Princeton, Maya continued her studies under the watchful but increasingly friendly observation of Agent Johnson's team. She had been true to her word, sharing knowledge gradually and transparently while maintaining the cover of being an exceptional human student. Her relationship with the FBI had evolved from suspicion to cooperation. Agent Johnson himself had become an unlikely ally. After months of observing Maya's consistent helpfulness and genuine concern for humanity, he had begun to appreciate the enormity of what she was trying to accomplish. Professor Chun, Maya said as they walked across campus toward the physics building, I've been monitoring the global response to the knowledge I've shared. The results are better than I hoped. The fusion reactors? Not just those. Humanity's entire approach to technological development is changing. Instead of competing to hoard knowledge, your scientists are collaborating internationally. Instead of focusing only on profit, your engineers are prioritizing sustainability and social benefit. It's exactly the kind of wisdom development my people hope to encourage. Dr. Chin smiled. Maya, you should know that you're not just changing technology. You're changing how we think about science itself. The idea that breakthrough discoveries should be shared immediately for the common good is becoming standard practice. They entered Maya's laboratory, where she had been working on her next revelation, medical advances that could eliminate most genetic diseases and extend human lifespans significantly. But as she reviewed her notes, Maya frowned. Professor Chun, I'm concerned about something. The rate of change is accelerating faster than I anticipated. Humanity is absorbing and implementing new knowledge at a remarkable pace. But there's a risk that society won't adapt quickly enough to handle the implications. What do you mean? Maya pulled up news feeds on her computer. Look at these reports. The fusion reactor announcements have caused stock markets to crash in several countries, as fossil fuel companies become worthless overnight. The carbon capture technology is destabilizing agricultural markets as atmospheric CO2 levels begin dropping faster than plant ecosystems can adapt. The quantum computing advances are making current encryption obsolete, threatening digital security worldwide. Dr. Chun studied the reports with growing alarm. Maya, are you saying that the knowledge you're sharing could cause more harm than good? I'm saying that technological advancement without social preparation can be as dangerous as the problems it's meant to solve. My people anticipated this risk, which is why they usually guide species more gradually over several generations. But humanity's crisis timeline doesn't allow for gradual change. Maya walked to the window, looking out at students hurrying between classes. Professor Chun, I need to make a decision that could affect both our species. I have knowledge that could solve every remaining major problem facing humanity: disease, aging, resource scarcity, even death itself. But if I share it all now, your social systems might collapse under the weight of change. What's the alternative? I could slow down. Share knowledge more gradually while helping human institutions adapt to each change before introducing the next. It's safer, but it means accepting that millions of people will die from problems I could solve immediately. Dr. Chun sat down heavily. Maya, that's an impossible choice. How do you decide who lives and who dies based on the pace of social change? It's the choice my people hoped I'd never have to make alone. That's why I need to ask something that might seem strange. I need you to help me form a human advisory committee. Scientists, ethicists, politicians, ordinary citizens from around the world. People who can help me decide not just what knowledge to share, but when and how to share it. You want humans to help guide their own species' development? I want humans to take responsibility for their own future. My role should be to provide options, not to make decisions for your species. The choice of how fast to change, how much risk to accept, what kind of future to build, those decisions belong to humanity. That evening, Maya met with Agent Johnson in his office. The relationship between them had transformed completely from their first encounter. Johnson now saw Maya not as a threat to be contained, but as an ally to be supported. Agent Johnson, I need to ask a favor that might seem unusual. I want to establish formal contact between Earth's governments and my people. Johnson nearly dropped his coffee. Maya, are you talking about open diplomatic contact? Aliens revealing themselves to the world? Not exactly. My people aren't ready for full disclosure yet. They want to see how humanity handles the current changes before considering open contact. But they're willing to establish limited communication through me with a small group of world leaders. Why now? Because the decisions I need to make about future knowledge sharing are too important for one person to make alone, even alien person. Your species needs to participate in choosing its own destiny. Johnson leaned back in his chair, thinking. Maya, you realize that once world leaders know about your people's existence, everything changes. We're talking about the end of human innocence, about our place in the universe. Yes, but we're also talking about the beginning of humanity's conscious participation in its own evolution. Right now, I'm making choices about your future based on my best guess about what's good for humanity. But wouldn't it be better if humanity's chosen representatives could make those choices themselves? Agent Johnson activated his secure communication system. Maya, I'm going to make some calls that I never thought I'd make in my lifetime. This is going to involve the President, the UN Security Council, and probably every major world leader. I know. My people are prepared for that. They've been monitoring human governments and know which leaders can be trusted with this information. What happens during these communications? What will your people tell world leaders? Maya smiled. They'll explain what I've been explaining to you, that humanity is at a critical point in its development, that you have a choice between transcendence and extinction, and that the next few decisions your species makes will determine which path you take. And then humanity will have to contact a secure facility hidden beneath. The Swiss Alps had been constructed in absolute secrecy over the previous 3 months. Representatives from 12 major nations sat around a circular table in the main conference room, each having been briefed on the impossible situation they were about to face. President Chang of the United States, Prime Minister Williams of the United Kingdom, Chancellor Mueller of Germany, President Volkov of Russia, and leaders from China, Japan, India, Brazil, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and the European Union. Maya stood at the center of the room, no longer pretending to be a normal human student. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she would serve openly as an ambassador between two species. Agent Johnson sat at a monitoring station, still amazed that the strange case he had started investigating 6 months ago had led to the most significant moment in human history. Ladies and gentlemen, Maya began, thank you for coming. I know that each of you has been briefed on my true nature and the reason for this gathering. Today, for the first time in Earth's history, your species will engage in formal communication with representatives of an extraterrestrial civilization. President Chun spoke first. Ms. Rodriguez, or should we use a different name? We've reviewed the technological advances that you've shared through academic channels. Our scientists confirm that this knowledge is beyond current human capability. Before we proceed, we need assurance that your people's intentions are genuinely peaceful. Mr. President, you may call me Maya. It's the name I've used on Earth, and I'm comfortable with it. As for my people's intentions, I understand your caution completely. You have only my word and the evidence of my actions over the past year. But perhaps direct communication will address your concerns better than my assurances. Maya closed her eyes and placed her hand on a device that resembled a crystalline sculpture. The air in the center of the room began to shimmer, and suddenly a three-dimensional holographic projection appeared. The figure that materialized looked unmistakably human, but with subtle differences. Taller, with more refined features, and eyes that held depth suggesting vast experience. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate in the listeners' minds as well as their ears. Greetings, leaders of Earth. I am Advisor Kellen, speaking on behalf of the Kepler Collective. Maya is my daughter, and her mission to your world represents the culmination of 3,000 years of observation and consideration. The world leaders exchanged glances. Still processing the reality of communicating with an alien intelligence? Chancellor Mueller found her voice first. Advisor Kellen, why have your people been observing Earth? What are your ultimate goals regarding humanity? Chancellor Mueller, we observe developing civilizations because the universe is a dangerous place for young species. Most intelligent life destroys itself before achieving maturity. We have seen thousands of promising species eliminate themselves through warfare, environmental destruction, or technological misapplication. Our goal is to identify species with the wisdom and resilience to join the galactic community and to offer guidance during their most critical developmental phases. Prime Minister Williams leaned forward. Advisor Kellen, what makes humanity worthy of this intervention? Why not simply let us succeed or fail on our own merits? The projection of Advisor Kellen smiled, an expression remarkably similar to Maya's. Prime Minister Williams, humanity has demonstrated qualities that are genuinely rare in our galaxy. Your species combines individual creativity with collective cooperation in ways we have rarely observed. You solve problems through collaboration between competing groups. You advance knowledge by sharing discoveries rather than hoarding them. Most remarkably, you show consistent concern for the welfare of other species on your planet. President Volkov spoke with obvious skepticism. These are admirable traits, but they hardly seem unique to our species. Surely other civilizations have demonstrated similar qualities. President Volkov, in 3,000 years of observing hundreds of species, we have seen perhaps a dozen that showed humanity's particular combination of innovation, resilience, and ethical development. Of those, only 3 successfully navigated what you are now facing, the transition from a planetary to an interplanetary civilization without destroying themselves. President Li of China asked, "What specific challenges do you believe humanity is facing that require external guidance?" Maya answered this time, "President Li, your species has reached a point where your technological capabilities have begun to exceed your social and political institutions. You can alter your planet's climate, but your governments struggle to coordinate responses to climate change. You're developing artificial intelligence that could surpass human cognitive ability, but you have no consensus on how to ensure it remains beneficial. You have weapons that could eliminate your civilization, but you lack effective mechanisms for preventing their use." Advisor Kellen continued, "These challenges are what we call the Great Filter. Species that successfully navigate this phase join the galactic community. Those that fail become cautionary tales. The knowledge Maya has been sharing, fusion energy, atmospheric processing, quantum computing represents tools that could help humanity succeed, but only if implemented wisely." The President of Brazil raised her hand. Advisor Kellen, what exactly is this galactic community you mention? What would membership entail for humanity? President Santos, the galactic community consists of 47 mature civilizations spanning this sector of the galaxy. Members share knowledge, coordinate exploration of new regions, and jointly guide developing species. Membership would provide humanity with access to technologies that would seem miraculous by your current standards. Faster than light travel, consciousness transfer, matter manipulation at the molecular level, communication across galactic distances. Agent Johnson, monitoring the conversation from his position, felt his understanding of humanity's place in the universe completely restructuring. The Prime Minister of Canada asked, "What are the obligations of membership? What would be expected of humanity?" Prime Minister Trudeau, members are expected to contribute to the collective knowledge of the community and to participate in guiding younger species through their own development. Humanity would eventually take responsibility for observing and, when appropriate, guiding civilizations in your local stellar region. President Chun looked troubled. Advisor Kellen, this is an extraordinary opportunity, but it's also an enormous responsibility. How do we know humanity is ready for such a role? Maya stepped forward. Mr. President, that's exactly the question we need to answer together. The knowledge I've shared so far represents perhaps 1% of what the galactic community could teach humanity. The remaining 99% includes technologies that could fundamentally transform your species, but also technologies that could destroy you if misused. What I'm proposing is a partnership. Instead of me deciding unilaterally what knowledge to share and when, I want humanity's leaders to participate in those decisions. You understand your species' capabilities and limitations better than I do. You should help determine the pace and nature of technological advancement. Chancellor Mueller asked, "What specific decisions are we talking about?" Mao activated a holographic display showing various technological concepts. These are some of the major advances I could share immediately. Life extension technology that could allow humans to live for thousands of years. Consciousness enhancement that could increase human intelligence by orders of magnitude. Nanotechnology that could eliminate scarcity by converting any material into any other material. Space propulsion that could make your entire solar system as accessible as different countries are today. The room fell silent as the leaders contemplated the implications. President Volkov spoke carefully. Each of these technologies could transform civilization, but they could also destabilize it. Life extension could create social stratification between those who have access and those who don't. Intelligence enhancement could create a species divide between enhanced and natural humans. Nanotechnology could eliminate entire economic systems overnight. Exactly, Maya replied. These are the kinds of decisions that should be made deliberately, with full understanding of the consequences, by representatives of the species that will be affected. Advisor Kellen's projection flickered slightly as she prepared to conclude the session. Leaders of Earth. My people believe that humanity has the potential to become one of the most remarkable civilizations in the galaxy. But potential alone is not enough. The next 50 years will determine whether humanity transcends its current limitations or falls victim to them. What we're offering is partnership in that determination. Maya will continue to serve as a bridge between our species, sharing knowledge and guidance as you request it. But the choices about how to use that knowledge, how quickly to implement changes, and what kind of future to build will remain entirely yours. The President of the European Union asked the final question. Advisor Kellen, what happens if humanity chooses unwisely? What if we misuse the knowledge you've shared or prove unable to handle the responsibilities of galactic citizenship? The projection of Advisor Kellen became sad. Then Maya will be recalled and Himeni. The future 5 years had passed since the secret meeting in the Swiss Alps, and Earth was transforming in ways that would have seemed impossible just a decade earlier. Maya, now 21 and officially recognized as humanity's first alien ambassador, stood on the observation deck of the Luna Research Station. Watching Earth rotate slowly below, the blue marble that had once been threatened by climate change now showed clear signs of atmospheric healing. The carbon capture networks had reduced atmospheric CO2 to pre-industrial levels while simultaneously providing raw materials for the massive construction projects reshaping human civilization. Fusion reactors provided unlimited clean energy to every nation on Earth. The great debates about energy scarcity and Environmental destruction had been replaced by discussions about how to wisely use humanity's newfound abundance. Dr. Chen, now director of the Global Technology Integration Council, joined Maya at the observation window. Maya, I've just received the latest reports from the implementation committees. The life extension treatments are ready for global distribution, but the ethics panel is recommending a phased approach. Maya nodded. That's wise. How are they proposing to handle the social implications? Initial distribution to anyone over 60, then gradual extension to younger populations as society adapts. They're also recommending mandatory education programs about the psychological and social challenges of extended lifespans. It had taken humanity 3 years to decide how to handle the life extension technology. The debates had been intense, involving philosophers, religious leaders, economists, and ordinary citizens from every nation. The decision to proceed gradually with extensive support systems for the transition represented the kind of collective wisdom that gave Maya hope for humanity's future. What about the consciousness enhancement programs? Dr. Chun smiled. Surprisingly, those have been less controversial. The voluntary pilot programs have shown remarkable results. Enhanced individuals are using their increased capabilities primarily for creative and scientific purposes. There's been no sign of the social stratification we worried about. Maya wasn't surprised. Human nature, enhanced or not, seemed to tend toward cooperation and improvement rather than domination. It was one of the reasons her people have been willing to share such transformative knowledge. Agent Johnson, now Director of Interspecies Affairs, appeared on the observation deck with news that would have seemed like science fiction when Maya first arrived on Earth. Maya, I've just received confirmation from the Kepler Collective. The formal membership review is scheduled for next year. If humanity passes, full diplomatic contact will begin. Maya felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Have they indicated what criteria they'll be evaluating? Based on our communications with Advisor Kellen, they're looking at 3 main factors: technological integration, social stability, and ethical development. The good news is that humanity's progress in all 3 areas has exceeded their projections. Dr. Chun pulled up a holographic display showing global statistics. Carbon emissions have been negative for 18 months. Global conflict is at historic lows due to resource abundance and improved communication technologies. Educational levels have increased dramatically thanks to the consciousness enhancement volunteers who've chosen to become teachers. Most importantly, Agent Johnson added, humanity has demonstrated the ability to make collective decisions about transformative technologies. The global voting systems for major technology implementations have worked remarkably well. Maya looked down at Earth, remembering her first day at Princeton when she had worried about revealing even basic improvements to human knowledge. Now, humanity was actively participating in decisions about technologies that could reshape the nature of human existence. There is one more development we should discuss, Maya said. My people have identified another developing species that will soon need guidance, a planet about 30 light-years from here. If humanity achieves full galactic citizenship, you might be asked to participate in first contact protocols. Dr. Chun's eyes widened. You mean humans could become the guides for another species facing the Great Filter? Exactly. It's one of the responsibilities that comes with galactic citizenship. My people believe that species who have recently navigated the transition themselves often make the best guides for others facing similar challenges. Agent Johnson shook his head in amazement. 5 years ago, we were worried about one alien student on our campus. Now we're discussing humanity's role in guiding other species? Maya laughed, a sound filled with genuine joy. That's how quickly things can change when a species commits to growth and learning. But Agent Johnson, I should point out that humanity's transition has been remarkably smooth compared to most species. Your capacity for cooperation and adaptation has impressed even my people. A communication alert chimed, and Dr. Chun activated the holographic display. Maya, we're receiving transmission from the Global Council. The final vote on faster-than-light travel research has been completed. The results showed overwhelming global support for beginning development of interstellar travel capabilities. After 2 years of debate and preparation, humanity had decided it was ready to become a true spacefaring species. This is the last major technology threshold before full galactic membership, Maya explained. Once humanity can travel between stars, you'll be able to participate directly in the galactic community rather than communicating only through me. Agent Johnson looked thoughtful. Maya, what happens to you once humanity achieves full membership? Do you return to your people? Maya was quiet for a moment, looking out at the Earth that had been her home for 21 years. Actually, I've been thinking about that. My mission was to guide humanity through the Great Filter, but I've discovered something unexpected during my time here. What's that? I've become as much human as I am Kepler. This world has shaped me as much as I've tried to shape it. I've been discussing with my people the possibility of remaining as a permanent ambassador between our species. Dr. Chun smiled warmly. Maya, I think I speak for everyone when I say we hope you'll stay. You're not just our guide to the galactic community, you're family. The communication system activated again? This time with a transmission from Earth, President Chun appeared in holographic form, calling from the newly constructed global capital in Geneva. Maya, Dr. Chun, Agent Johnson, I have extraordinary news. The Global Council has just voted to establish the Human Galactic Preparedness Initiative. We're beginning construction of humanity's first interstellar exploration vessel. Maya felt a surge of pride and hope. Mr. President, that's wonderful news. Have you selected a destination for humanity's first interstellar mission? Actually, we were hoping you might suggest an appropriate target. Somewhere that would allow humanity to demonstrate readiness for galactic citizenship. Maya thought for a moment, then smiled. I recommend the TRAPPIST-1 system. It has several planets that could support human colonies. And it's close enough to allow regular communication with Earth. More importantly, it's in a region where several galactic species maintain research stations. A successful human mission there would demonstrate both technological capability and peaceful intentions. Dr. Chun pulled up star charts showing the proposed route. How long would such a mission take with our current technology? With the propulsion systems I'm prepared to share next, about 18 months each way. The mission could establish humanity's first interstellar outpost and make contact with representatives from other galactic species. Agent Johnson nodded approvingly. That sounds like exactly the kind of mission that would prove humanity's readiness for full galactic citizenship. As they continued planning humanity's first steps beyond the solar system, Maya reflected on how much had changed since her nervous first day at Princeton. The scared young woman who had worried about sharing basic scientific knowledge had become the ambassador for humanity's transformation into a galactic species, but more importantly, humanity had proven that intelligence and wisdom could grow together. The species that had once seemed destined for self-destruction had instead chosen cooperation, sustainability, and ethical development. They had faced the Great Filter not with fear, but with determination to build something better. Maya, Dr. Chun asked, what do you think will surprise your people most about humanity's development? Maya considered the question carefully. I think they'll be surprised by how much humanity has taught me. My people sent me here to guide your species, but in many ways you've guided me. You've shown me that wisdom isn't just about knowledge, it's about how you use knowledge to help others. You've demonstrated that the most advanced technology is meaningless without compassion, cooperation, and commitment to the common good. These are lessons that even my people, with all their advanced knowledge, are still learning. Agent Johnson activated the communication system to broadcast Maya's words to the Global Council session. Maya, I think humanity would benefit from hearing that perspective. As Maya's words were transmitted to Earth, she looked out once more at the blue planet that had become her home. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities. Humanity would continue its journey toward galactic citizenship, and she would be their tea.